Dear all, so welcome to this new episode of the CATIA TV. This time we will focus on the topic of CATIA or Gigafactories. We will embark on an exclusive session of this CATIA TV, which is a bit special on the topic of CATIA for Gigafactories with our subject matter experts. So there's Olivier Audelan from CATIA Building and Infrastructure, IPS team, and Simon Mellier from the high-tech industries, and they will be our show hosters for today. So just to make an introduction, as most of you know, the battery is the most critical component within electrical vehicles. So not only the cost of the battery represents around 40% of the total cost of the EV, but also the battery is the key differentiator for car OEMs. Autonomy, safety, charging time, capacity fade-over time. Battery cells and battery cells manufacturers are therefore considered to be at the heart of the EV value chain. In this webinar, you will discover the challenges of gigafactories through these 5 areas of expertise. So not exactly this way, but what we can focus on is smart production scale-up and increasing speed of design, improving overall productivity, processing time, and quality of increasingly complex multidiscipline engineering projects, process stability, of course, shrinking the operating margins, and the integration of global supply networks. And you will, of course, discover the CATIA solutions that allow industrialization of sustainable batteries. Because here we're talking about sustainability as this very large infrastructure are very consuming of energy. And the idea is to produce infrastructure that have low consuming of energy and with a focus on sustainability. So as usual, the CATIA TV is being held here in the post where you are right now in our CATIA user community, and it gives you the capacity to interact in live with our subject matter experts throughout the chat that you see below, either at the end of the session or during the I would say the fact that a replay would be available on the CATIA user community for an undefined time. So you can always ask your questions, and we can always give you the capacity to get answers to that questions. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to my introduction. So I will now leave the floor to Olivier Audelan, which is our building and infrastructure expert, and Simon Mellier, who is our high-tech infrastructure expert.
Thank you, Cyril.
Thank you, Cyril, for the introduction.
So, and I will just get out of the screen, and I will leave the floor to both of you guys. Sorry for that. Bye-bye.
No problem. Thank you. So thank you, Cyril, for the introduction. So I am Simon Mellier. As Cyril has said, I'm part of the high-tech industry at Dassault Systèmes, and I'm responsible of the manufacturing solution, and particularly the solution for battery cell production, covering a pretty wide scope from the manufacturing engineering to the manufacturing execution and optimization, and what you will see today about the infrastructure of the battery cell facility and factory. So today we will present you only one facet or one side of our virtual twin for the battery cell production about the battery factory infrastructure. Olivier, I'll let you to present you, and then we can start.
Sure. Thanks, Simon. Thanks a lot. So Olivier Audelan, pleased to be with you once again. So today we will talk as explained by Simon about Gigafactory engineering mostly. So I'm in charge of the CATIA IPS team for infrastructure and buildings, and so supporting Simon on different engagement on that topic. And pleased to share that session with him today.
So can you move to the next slide, please, Olivier? So some figures about the lithium-ion battery market. So as you may know, the battery cell production is currently booming. The demand for battery is ramping up with 30% year-over-year growth around the world, and from 200 gigawatt hour in 2020 to 6,000 gigawatt hour in 2030 in the latest forecast studies. Geographically speaking, the need varies. The battery cell demand will remain highest in China, followed then by Europe and then US. And to meet this overall demand, in time. The additional capacity to those that have been already announced are needed from right now and from 2022, 2023. And this includes a wider range of companies with different level of expertise. And around 10% of the total 2030 supply target has been announced by new startups. And in Europe, it's even bigger because it's up to 25% that have been announced by new startups. Can you move to the next slide, please, Olivier? Thank you. So the established player or the established battery cell companies and emerging startups have announced a combined plan to build a production capacity of up to approximately 1,000 gigawatt hour in 2030 in Europe, only in Europe, growing 20 times from the current installed capacity from the figures from 2020. And this forecast is accounting for almost 33% of the global announced battery cell production capacity in the next decade. So the additional capacity, the additional production capacity requires, in one hand, to optimize the production and the production operation in the existing factory, but in the other hand, the construction and the building of the new gigafactories. And overall, there are 90 new gigafactory projects with an average production capacity of 25 gigawatt hour that are being planned for construction globally by 2030. So it will require direct investment of more than 200 billions of euro in the next decades. And as you may know, but the construction of the gigafactory is quite complex, requiring the integration of numerous capital expenditure, such as the buildings, the infrastructure, the energy, and the different equipments, production equipments that will be required, as well as, the specific areas and specific atmosphere for testing, but as well for production, like dry room, clean room, and others. So can you move to the next slide, please, Olivier? So how can we support the battery cell manufacturer? Actually, we have created a solution offer based on three main pillars and supported by the 3D Experience platform. The first pillar on the left side of this slide about the battery cell development from material to system. Then you have the battery manufacturing, operation, engineering, and execution in the middle. And on the right, highlighted in yellow here, there is the battery factory infrastructure for engineering and commissioning of the factory and gigafactory. So the goal is really to connect the product to the process and the process to the gigafactory and create an end-to-end virtual twin experience to enable the most efficient industrialization and the delivery of the most sustainable battery cells. So today, you understand, we propose you to focus on the highlighted pillar here in yellow about the battery factory infrastructure. Next slide, please, Olivier. So, thank you. So considering the market demand and the incomparable factory construction plan, it's very critical to improve the industrialization and the ramp-up time of production facility, whether the pilot lines, but as well the gigafactory for production at large scale. So this project and this type of project is a collaborative process between the factory operator, the contractor, the line builder, the equipment makers, and actually it covers several steps from the user requirements, the conceptual engineering, going through the basic, then the detailed engineering and construction, followed by the commissioning, the qualification, and it can take 2, 3, or 4 years until the industrialization of the gigafactory itself. So usually, And what we have seen so far, there is a lack of continuity in the exchange between all the stakeholders that I mentioned before, so between the factory operator and its service supplier. So, and this lack of continuity result of a lack of control of the relationship and time lost, especially during the engineering phase, with for many sequential steps, error being discovered too late sometimes, but as well during the qualification and the validation of the production and the production line. Next slide, please, Olivier. So with the 3D Experience platform, we propose to our customer to create the virtual twin of their production facility at the scale needed to meet their challenge. So it can be from the equipment to the line, to the plant, to the manufacturing network. And it allows keeping control of the relationship with the service supplier, doing agile loops to design an optimized manufacturing line. Because you can share data, you can run simulation, you can proceed to the virtual qualification of the line. So, and all of that will dramatically reduce the time lost, and the cost of the industrialization of the line. But not only, we can use as well the virtual twin to build and simulate a new line, but it could be used as well during the operation phases. So you can optimize and predict your operation, comparing it to the real world data from the plant and the data simulated that have been simulated during using the virtual twin of the line. So we can connect the people with information and the data, and that will enable a quicker, a more informed decision while introducing the virtualization simulation into the manufacturing planning and operations and the industrialization of the line. And all of that will help to ensure the Gigafactory are produced as designed in the most cost-effective and high-quality manner. Next slide, please, Olivier. So how can we do that? So we have created a dedicated solution, as you understand, the battery factory infrastructure, and it enables the development of all the functional systems in your Gigafactory. It will define, simulate, validate the behavior of the complex system and ensure the engineering integrity from the requirements through the system engineering, the model-based design approach around one collaborative single source of information. So it allows the synchronization of all engineering processes around one collaborative single source of information to get the right decision design of your factory, and by creating, for example, the layout of the factory fully compliant with the industry standard and the building information model, the BIM. But enough talks. I will let you the floor, Olivier, to show us in real life what it looks like.
Thank you, Simon. Thanks a lot. So thank you for all those inputs. So let's have a look now on how CATIA could help, in fact, to enhance the way we are defining right now the Gigafactories. What is really important, we are considering, in fact, a Gigafactory as a system of systems, and so this is why we really want to embrace a systems engineering approach. And to do so, we fully rely, in fact, on our CATIA data model in order to be, first of all, able to manage the requirements, because everything starts with requirements, in fact. And so what is really important is to be able to capture and collect any kind of requirements. Whatever are those requirements, in fact, requirements coming from the industry, coming from the regulations, from standards, norms, in order to drive afterward your design. But not only, the purpose is not only to drive the design, it's really to anticipate potential issues coming from, or constraints coming from operations. So as soon as possible, as early as possible, purpose is really to capture all those information in order to be able then to think about the right design for your Gigafactory. I'm talking about a design, not of a design right now. So the purpose is really, especially if I'm a owner and operator of my Gigafactory, to start defining it on the right way, on a proper way, meaning being able to identify the right sustainability impact, the right cost analysis, and the right technology efficiency in order to choose the right solutions and to prepare the right specifications for my supplier afterwards, up to them to manage the detailed design and then the construction of my Gigafactory. But at least as an owner and operator, I will have this capability to have this defined. And the purpose for us is really, as you can see, to integrate the Gigafactory on its environment. Because as the Gigafactory is a system of systems, definitely we need to be able to interact with the external environment. Whatever, if those are natural resources, existing infrastructures, linear infrastructure, civil infrastructure, but as well industrial infrastructures. For if you need to potentially, I don't know, to have hydrogen to bringing in the Gigafactory. So to really to understand all those potential impacts and to take once again the right decisions. So this is why, in fact, you will have different capabilities, different layers in your Gigafactory. A volumic decomposition, as you can see, with all those volumes in order to manage all that is related, in fact, to spaces, to your functional architecture. So this is really coming from, based on your requirements, your capability to define, especially for an owner and operator, to define, in fact, all your functions, mission, services for your Gigafactories, okay? And based on that, you will have capabilities so to decompose the layout of your Gigafactory by volumes, unit, subunit, until the rooms and potentially until the main equipment's positioning. But it's not only, as I told you, and as you can see on that part, to take into account engineering topics. You can see that we have construction, we have as well hazards. So all of those information can be, again, taken into account as soon as possible, because it's really key to identify the capability for your mobile equipment to navigate from a building to another one, from a unit to another, in order for them to be able to bring potentially the right resources to the equipment, or to move an equipment from a unit to another one. And those inputs have to be taken into account as early as possible, because if you think about that during the construction phase, it will be too late. And so potential impacts of modification will be huge. So this is why having this definition of your Gigafactory as soon as possible is definitely key for an owner operators to anticipate as much as possible, for sure, those potential impacts. Then we will have the capability, for sure, to go till the detailed design of the factory, of the process line by themselves. So being able, based on the process flow diagram, based on all your systems definition, to manage the detailed design of your different process lines, and for sure to manage as well the definition of the equipment by themselves. Again, what is key, it's everything is based on the requirements. So it's really requirements-driven approach. And like this, you ensure an entire traceability all along the life cycle of the Gigafactory. Whatever is the layer you are dealing with, on the site, on the factory, on the equipment, no problem. This is really an entire traceability. And what is key is that your systems will be fully defined from 1D to 2D until their 3D definition, and then up to them to be consumed afterwards by Delmia, by our Delmia solutions, in order for them to manage the process planning, to manage all the training for the operators, and so on and so forth, to optimize as well the factory flow by itself. So this is really, as explained by Simon, capability afterwards based on a single source of truth, to have all stakeholders working all together on the same data, on the same define and design of a Gigafactory, in order for them to be as efficient as possible during operation phase. So this first part was really to present you, in fact, how CATIA can help based on the RFLP data model, so requirement, functional, logical, physical data model, to build, in fact, to define and potentially to design, if you're an EPC, a gigafactory. But let's assume that now I'm not anymore an engineer. Let's say I'm more project manager oriented, and so my purpose is to be sure that at any stage of my gigafactory life cycle, I will have access to the right information. And this is where the platform is really important by providing a single source of truth, a real collaborative way of working. Because as you can see now, I'm on the dashboard, and I will be able to have access to any kind of information. So in that case, you see that I have access to all my specifications, all my requirements. As I told you, requirements related to authority, requirement related to my mixing process line, requirements related potentially to operations, to environment KPIs, etc. So all of this will be captured and reused all along the life cycle of my gigafactory. And what is important as well, because documents are key, you have as well capability so to manage any kind of document. So you see we have some battery directives, we have some directives related to the manufacturing operations for Europe. The purpose is really not only to have to manage data, but to manage both document and data on the same environment and to link all those information together. Once again, purpose is to be able for you to have access to the right information at any time and to be able to analyze, to manage the traceability, to manage the impact of change. And we will see just after why we are thinking about that the platform is definitely fulfilling all those inputs. But now let's have a look to my dashboard. As you can see, on a single view, I will have access to any kind of information. Okay, so typically in that case, I have access to my product breakdown structure, as you can see here. In fact, so I will have access to any kind of to my whole product structure, and so I will be able to search for any kind of information. So if I search, for example, for my mixing tank, so I can find, and so I just have to search to my mixing. You see that I will have the capability so to find on my product breakdown structure all my mixing tank that have been used on my product structure. And what is really interesting, it's if I want to visualize them in 3D, I just have to do a focus on, and then you can see that I have directly the data that are loaded in session. So for sure, I have a huge amount of data in that case, but you can see that directly I can zoom in on my data. But let's hide some data in order to have a better view. I will just show you, in fact, that directly on the 3D play. So if I just zoom out, I can have access to the same information as I was showing previously on my CATIA environment, on my authoring environment. You see, definitely having the capability to visualize all those information, and for sure, as I told you, to search for information, but as well, if I want to hide some information, I have this capability, and then directly I can see my gigafactory as it has been designed, and this is where I will find all my process lines and all my equipments directly on my gigafactory. So really capability for you, as you can see, to manage a huge amount of data, because this gigafactory has been integrated on its environment. So it's a cluster for that case, it's a cluster in south of France, representing an area about 100 kilometers per 30 kilometers. So huge amount of data that you can aggregate on a single environment, and as you can see, you can navigate inside. But what is important as well, it's, if you remember, I was searching for my mixing tank. What is important, it's by searching on my product breakdown structure, I will have access to all the information related to that mixing tank. So meaning I have a 360 view of my mixing tank, all requirements, all function it's belonging to, where, on which schema is this behavior defined, on which area has it been used, and to which documents is it relying to in terms of standards, specifications, regulations, etc. So you see, I have my mixing tank. I can see that that mixing tank is used on that piping and instrumentation diagram. Okay, you can see that this mixing tank is fulfilling to those requirements and as this 3D representation. So capability for you to have access to any kind of information. But what is really important, it's not only to have access and to be able to visualize the information, because if you want to visualize the information, as you can see, it's just a matter of drag and dropping, in fact, this to this new tab. And like this, you can visualize your schema. You can visualize your requirements. So in that case, in fact, I already loaded the data. So you see that I have a PNID that has been already loaded. I could visualize as well requirements. I could visualize any kind of information that are needed for me for analyzing the data I'm working on, and specifications, for example. But what is as well important, it's to be able to manage the traceability.
So yes, as I told you, so traceability is key. Purpose is to be able to identify any impact related to a change. So as you can see on this widget, we have the different views of our asset, of our Gigafactory. So meaning it's functional architecture, all the requirements related to this Gigafactory, but as well all the schematics, so all the systems decomposition, and then the geographical decomposition plus the product breakdown structure, meaning with the detailed design of the Gigafactory. So what is really key, it's typically if you have to change a requirement, so due to a supplier or due to an internal department asking you to perform this modification quickly by just clicking, you see on that mixing specification, you can see all the impacts related to that modification. So it means that like this, for any kind of information, quickly you could have an holistic view of all the potential impacts in order for you then to involve the right actors to analyze or to deep dive on the analysis on the change, and then to be able to take the decision.
Another topic, it's because we talk a lot about sustainability, and what is really important, it's how to manage the sustainability aspect on the definition, not only on the design, but directly when we are doing the define of our Gigafactory. When are we able to manage such environmental feasibility? This is something that we can manage as early as possible. Meaning, as you can see, that for sure, when you are defining your Gigafactory, you will think about technical feasibility, economic feasibility, but now we will focus on environmental feasibility. We have definitely the capability to enrich the Gigafactory virtual twin by aggregating, by adding information related to sustainability. And this is what is really important, because like this, for you to take decisions, you will have access to all the information, economical ones, environmental ones, and technological ones. Really important for you to manage different trade-offs and to take the right decisions. In that case, we are investigating on and analyzing the switch for a blast furnace for each generation to switch from a coal one to an electrical one. So like this, being able to do a trade-off and to understand what are the impacts. So to do so, we define our system of interest. Meaning being able to define for each phase of the factory, fabrication, packaging, use, maintenance, and end of life, what are the key topics, what are our interests on each topic, and what are the input and outputs for each step. Okay, and you can see that we are, for a Gigafactory, typically the raw materials extraction, the coal extraction, the electricity production is not to the responsibility of the owner and operator. So those topics won't be taken into account during our analysis. Okay. As soon as we have this system of interest, and as soon as, again, we are managing all of that thanks to requirements, keep in mind, traceability, all along the life cycle of your Gigafactory. So we will have the capability, you see, to analyze directly. And even if you have a look, I don't have the detailed design of my Gigafactory yet. I just have a basic representation of my Gigafactory. But in fact, based on our capability to define what are our main system of interest and what are our main KPIs we would like to track. So in that case, CO2 emissions, land use, and water use. We did it for sure on a simple way, but it's just for a demonstration matter. We will have the capability, thanks to our connection with EcoInvent database, to collect all these KPIs with this database and to manage this life cycle of interest, and then to be able to define our life cycle assessment. As you can see, we will be able, so based on the define of our factory, we will see that, okay, based on the limits we define for each KPIs or the target we would like to achieve, you can see that at the end you have the result. In terms of CO2 emissions, we are on the boundaries, but we are out of boundaries for land use and for water use. So this is for you really early on the process, the capability to not only think about cost and technological efficiency, but as well environmental impact, and to take the right decision, to define the right systems for your suppliers, up to them to define them on the right way. So just for you to know, it was a quick introduction to that to the sustainability topic. We will deep dive on it in September for a new CATIA TV episode led by Yarob Odi. So stay tuned, guys, in September on that topic. But let's go back. I hope now I will be able to show you the traceability. No, I have definitely an issue on that topic. I'm sorry for that. I won't be able to present it to you, unfortunately. But let's go to the conclusion. So I will give back the lead to Simon for the conclusion. Once again, sorry for that last minute issue. And let's go to the conclusion right now.
Thank you, Olivier. Thank you for this clear explanation and very interesting demo. So as you understood, simulating the link, but as well the associativity between the requirements and the design, at all the stage of the design process, enable to detect incorrect, missing, conflicting requirements and perfectly engineer, the factory process. And in addition, the solution that you have seen here allows to work with a comprehensive, modular, and sustainable, as Olivier has shown, approach, which will give the opportunity to collaborate with the partners and the entire ecosystem to ensure the design quality of the Gigafactory layout by performing design integrated checks between the 2D schematic and the associated 3D design and all the related information. So in the early phase, you will be able to assess what, for example, will be the environmental footprint, but as well to collaborate with the line builder, with the EPC, with the machine maker, to be sure that you are working, everyone is working on the same repository, the same data set, and the same with the same level of information. So thank you everyone for attending to this session. Cyril, I'll let you the floor for.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys, for making this session live, because it's an extremely important topic for CATIA and for DS. It's growing into the landscape of different industries, especially high-tech, E&M, building and construction, AEC infrastructures, industrial infrastructure. So it was very interesting to see how you've been able to detail the whole process and how we're using CATIA to build this Gigafactories who are taking a lot of importance into the world today. So thanks again to both of you. And so again, guys, if you have questions, the audience, guys, the audience, if you have questions now, you can ask them. You can ask them after the session, and we'll be able to answer. And just wanted to say that this session will be available on replay. I don't want to say forever because it's not maybe the right case, but it's going to be able as long as the community goes on, and it's going to stay on for a long time. So you can always get into the registration page, get into the community bros, type Gigafactories, and come up to this post and watch again the replay and in any if you have any questions. And also another topic is that what Olivier said is that we are going to have a specific session on sustainability and decarbonization, and around September, October. I'm not quite exact. I'm not sure about the dates, but this is going to be a very important topic. And what Olivier just showed you today is very important, and how we are providing solutions in order to having the right level of CO2 at any time for different moments of the process. This is pretty important, so I just wanted to highlight it. So thanks again, guys. Thanks again for being there. I'm going to put the famous CATIA TV generic outro, and I'll see you for the next session. Maybe we can make another one on Gigafactories. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.